SWEGTA.
Rockstar Games loves movies and television, and that is made apparent by the abundance of movie and TV references scattered throughout some of their games, especially in Bully. So without any further ado, I bring you 10 movie references in Bully. Enjoy.
What's wrong with you? Nothing. Well, you're sitting around watching TV by yourself like a loser.
Number 1. Back to the Future. By traveling to City Hall and having a look at the clock located on the center front of the building, we can see that the hour and minute hands are pointing towards 10 and 4 respectively. This is actually a reference to the movie Back to the Future. In the movie, lightning strikes a courthouse clock tower at 10:04 p.m. This causes the clock to remain in that state for the coming 30 years. Not only are both clocks stuck on the same time, but both the building and the clock in Bully bear a very close resemblance to the ones in the film. Number 2. Dude, where's my car? Tobias Mason is the owner of the Shiny Bikes bike store in Bullworth. After Chapter 1, Tobias gets one of his bikes stolen by Omar the Townie. This results in him asking Jimmy Hopkins to retrieve the stolen bike. When telling Jimmy about the bike theft, he'll make a pretty self-explanatory reference to the movie Dude, Where's My Car?
Use a hand with something, Jim. Dude, where's my bike?
Now I know that I usually don't say this sort of thing, but please don't watch this movie. For the sake of knowing proper context for all of these references, I made sure to watch all of their respective films. And this is by far the worst one on the list. You would be doing yourself a great disservice by even watching the trailer, so please save yourself the trouble and just forget about this, okay? Number 3. THX 1138. During the Chapter 4 mission titled Stronghold Assault, Jimmy has to find the secret code to the observatory entrance door. To do this, he has to fight Thad Carlson until Thad surrenders and gives Jimmy the code, which is 1138.
Okay, it's 1138. I'm thinking about you.
Now, it's actually debatable what this is in reference to. There are 3 possibilities. Either A, it's a reference to the dystopian sci-fi drama THX 1138 directed by George Lucas. Or B, it's in reference to the fact that George Lucas will often make references to this movie in his other movies. Or C, it's a reference to both the movie THX 1138 and the THX 1138 references George Lucas has featured in his other films. You decide if you followed anything I said. Number 4. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. When getting knocked out, Melvin O'Connor will sometimes say it's only a flesh wound.
It's only a flesh wound!
This is actually a reference to the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. During a scene from the movie, King Arthur travels through a forest where he comes across a Black Knight fighting off a Green Knight. After the Black Knight defeats the Green Knight, Arthur approaches the Knight and attempts to walk past him. This results in the Black Knight attacking him as well. During this fight, King Arthur cuts off one of the Black Knight's arms. In response to this, he simply replies with, "'Tis but a scratch," and then continues the fight. And after having his other arm chopped off, the Knight responds by saying, "It's just a flesh wound." What I think makes this reference work so well is Melvin's constant medieval role-playing mannerisms. Regardless of the situation, even after getting his ass kicked, he will still remain in character. Method acting at its finest.
Do you accept the quest?
Number 5. Rocky. The mandatory boxing missions can be some of the most tedious parts of the game, but one pretty cool detail is very often overlooked. When boxing, you'll enter a fighting mode somewhat reminiscent of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And if Jimmy's health depletes during this fight, then he'll collapse onto the ring and a key mashing sequence will commence. During this sequence, you can sometimes hear Bryce mention the movie Rocky.
This is just like Rocky.
It's dating!
Number 6. The Blues Brothers. This is yet another detail which is very often overlooked. Most of the cars in Bully have the license plate BDR529. This is a reference to the Bluesmobile from the action comedy musical film The Blues Brothers. The Bluesmobile is a 1974 Dodge Monaco sedan, which is driven by the 2 main protagonists of the film. In fact, the only cars in Bully that don't have this license plate is the police car, the foreign car, the 70s wagon, the delivery truck, the bulldozer, and the taxi. All other cars in the game have this license plate. Number 7. The Karate Kid. Remember this funky looking skeleton costume Gary gives Jimmy during Chapter 1's Halloween for no apparent reason? Well, the costume actually comes from the movie The Karate Kid. In the film, the main antagonist, Johnny Lawrence, and his gang of bullies wear this costume during Halloween. Aside from the fact that Jimmy uses the same costume, it really has no other connections to the film, but hey, it's pretty spooky. Number 8. A Christmas Story. Jimmy's not the only character with a Halloween costume from a film. The easily distinguishable bright pink and frankly embarrassing outfit that Pete Kowalski sports during Halloween is not only another strange gift from Gary, but it's also a reference to another movie from the 80s. A Christmas Story to be precise. As a Christmas present, Ralphie, the main protagonist of the film, is given a pink bunny costume by his aunt. Much to Ralphie's annoyance and humiliation, he's forced to put on the costume, to which his father comments that he looks like a deranged Easter bunny. Who wore it best? You decide! Number 9. On the Waterfront. If you beat up Vance Medici? Medusa? I don't fucking... If you beat up Vance, you can sometimes hear him say, "I could have been a contender."
Ooh, I could have been a contender.
This is a reference to the 1954 crime drama film On the Waterfront, which stars Marlon Brando as the main protagonist, Terry Malloy. Some years prior to the events of the film, Terry was making good progress as a boxer. That is, until his brother, Charlie, convinces him to deliberately lose a boxing match. This was done so that Terry's and Charlie's mob boss, Johnny Friendly, would win a bet. Later in the film, when Terry talks to Charlie about this, he tells Charlie, "I could have had class, I could have been a contender, I could have been somebody." But, you know, he said it in a cool Marlon Brando-esque mannerism. He didn't say it like I just did, like, hey, here's a quote. And number 10, The Warriors. If Jimmy finds himself being chased, then he can sometimes escape the person chasing him by hiding in a nearby trash can or locker. When this happens, the person looking for him can be heard either calling Jimmy a coward, demanding that he shows himself, or something else to that effect.
I'll beat you some other time, Hopkins!
If you get the bully Trent Northwick to chase you and then escape through hiding, then he'll make a reference to the 1979 action thriller The Warriors.
Jimmy Hopkins, come out and play!
I really can't get too specific about the line's context without spoiling a huge part of the film, but I will say this. The line, "Warriors come out to play," is not only well known and often referenced in mainstream media, but the line was actually ad-libbed by actor David Patrick Kelly. What's also interesting is that Rockstar Toronto, the very same studio that ported Bully Scholarship Edition to the Nintendo Wii, is also the studio behind the 2005 video game adaptation of The Warriors. Neat! Well folks, there you have it, 10 movie references in Bully. It took me quite a while to make this video, so liking it is greatly appreciated. And hey, if you have friends who like Bully, show this to your friends. Be like, hey, you know, you like Bully, so here's a Bully video. Anyhow, that's it for this video. You folks, as always, stay classy. Peace.